President Cyril Ramaphosa saying he wants to engage US President Donald Trump over our land reform policy after Trump said that he was going to cut all of the foreign funding that the US gives to South Africa because bad things are happening to a certain class of people, that they're being treated very badly. Brooks Spector is an associate editor at Daily Maverick, a retired US diplomat as it happens. Brooks, good morning to you. How do we interpret what President Trump is saying? He talks about a specific class of people being treated very badly. Is he just telling his supporters that he'll protect white people everywhere? Is it as simple and as crude as that?
Well, on the one hand, yes, it's simple and crude, just like that. On the other hand, let's put it this way: Donald Trump is a low information official. He doesn't know very much. He's not paying a whole lot of attention. And he's had this particular animus about South Africa stretching back to his first administration. I mean, this issue came up back in, I guess it was 2018, 2019 first, and then it eventually just died out. This time around, because he's taking, or he and his minions are taking so much effort so quickly on a whole range of activities in the US government, this is just one more part of trying to show that they can change the fundamental nature of government activities. If you remember last week, the announcement was that they would put a halt on all foreign assistance efforts, except for immediate humanitarian relief and foreign assistance to Egypt and Israel. Then overnight, he tweeted, or whatever we call it now, as you have read. And I went back and looked at the data on foreign assistance to South Africa from the United States. It's about $273 million and some change last fiscal year. And roughly 2/3 of it, more or less, is for HIV and AIDS. There's some other programs in other health areas, and then there are programs, smaller programs in agriculture, trade policy, and so forth. So significantly, most of the aid then goes to what we know as PEPFAR, or its related activities, research, clinical trials, and so forth.
There's a lot going on here, and we've already spoken to AfriForum this morning. They both say that they sort of claim credit for this in a way, for bringing the issue up to President Donald Trump. I don't want to speak for them, but certainly they were the ones in 2018, we know, who spoke to some of the people in the Trump administration at the time. Obviously, there are lots of lobbying by lots of different people on many different things around Trump. Could AfriForum have been an important factor in all of this? I mean, it would kind of fit very nicely into Trump's worldview, let me put it like that.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump is known pretty widely as someone who acts on whoever is the last person to talk to him, whoever is the whisperer into his ear. And we do know that somebody like Elon Musk has been a very close whisperer. But there's a larger field at play here, too, and that's the Trump administration really doesn't like foreign assistance generally, and this is just one more arrow in that quiver. It doesn't like the way foreign nations treat America, so they say, on trade. And so now you've got new tariffs imposed on the country's two nearest neighbors, as well as China, and the two nearest neighbors happen to be among its major trading partners. Part of this is just so extemporaneous, and the pieces are just sort of falling out of in every corner, every which way. In the meantime, the organization that Elon Musk is leading, this government reform and cutting back on expenditures, essentially tried to take over the USAID offices in Washington over the weekend, sending in people to get a hold of all of their data, including the proprietary data of partners here and abroad, and personnel information. And the weird thing, of course, is that the Musk organization is not a government agency, and many of those people don't have security clearances, let alone are certainly not government officials. And this whole thing has this odd sort of extemporaneous feeling to me that nobody is in charge. And as I said, it just Donald Trump listens to whoever speaks to him last.
How does our government respond to this? So President Cyril Ramaphosa very quickly putting out a statement saying they would like further engagement. They would obviously like the US to understand our system. And let's be clear, virtually every government in the world has some sort of expropriation act at some point for a public purpose. You do need to expropriate land. The issue seems to be around compensation. At the same time, for President Ramaphosa and our International Relations Minister, Ronald Lamola, if someone's been giving you money consistently for years and then stops, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's the US federal government or your father, it's very difficult to keep demanding it when you've given them very little in return. And isn't that the problem? On the one level, the president needs to look strong. He needs to represent sort of progressive values against Trump. On the other level, he would probably quite like the money back for our budget.
Well, I mean, certainly the South African programs, the PEPFAR programs and related activities have been a success. I mean, there's no denying that that for the last 2 decades, the multi-partner relationship, South African government, American government, private industry, and philanthropic institutions has been a success. I do think the Trump administration has a particular animus towards South Africa over the way in which it has been demonstrating its fond relations with Russia, China, and Iran, and obviously you figure into that too its activities at the International Court of Justice. One of the things, though, that the South African government needs to do is to explain in much clearer, much more understandable ways what this law is supposed to be about and what it's supposed to do. Now, you mentioned that most countries have similar kinds of things. If Donald Trump were to sit in his abode at Trump Tower and look towards Central Park, he would see a major development, a major city project, which was made by land expropriation, by eminent domain in the 1850s, which benefits and has benefited many millions of people, even as it dispossessed a couple hundred people who were farmers or blacksmiths or tenant farmers. And the social benefits were extraordinary now. I mean, anybody who goes to New York goes to Central Park. Because it's one of the great landscapes of the world. You go to Paris and you see those broad avenues that were designed by Haussmann in the 1860s and 70s, and the same thing is true. Those are city improvements that are built on the basis of taking land somebody has and putting a better value and a better use to it. And the South African government really should spend more energy and thought in explaining how this will benefit the country, its population, its economic success, and its stability. Cyril Ramaphosa made a good start with his statement, but I think there really needs to be a much more considered way to explain this.
Brooke Spector, thank you very much indeed. Associate Editor at Daily Maverick, a former US diplomat. Really do appreciate the time.